Imagine walking into a city that seems to have appeared out of nowhere. A place where walls stretch toward the sky, perfectly stacked without mortar, yet stable enough to survive centuries. This is Great Zimbabwe, a city whose stones have witnessed centuries of sun, wind, and whispers of human ambition. Its ruins are breathtaking towers that still rise 5 meters high, circular enclosures that suggest careful planning, and passageways that make you wonder about the people who called this place home. How did they build it? Why did they vanish? And how could the world forget a civilization of such brilliance? The name Zimbabwe comes from the Shona words meaning houses of stone, and yet, calling it a city feels too small. Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a powerful kingdom that dominated southern Africa between the 11th and 15th centuries. Its influence reached far beyond the horizon, controlling trade in gold, ivory, and other treasures. It was a place where artisans, traders, and rulers converged, where wealth and culture intertwined, and where every stone seemed to carry a story. The construction itself is astonishing. Imagine enormous granite blocks, some weighing several tons, carved and fitted together without mortar. Engineers today marvel at the precision. The walls curve and slope with architectural sophistication that suggests deep knowledge of geometry, balance, and structural integrity. The Great Enclosure, the largest ancient structure in sub-Saharan Africa, contains a conical tower whose purpose remains a mystery. Some say it was a symbol of power, others believe it had spiritual meaning. But what is certain is that it took incredible skill, coordination, and vision to build such a monument. And yet, the builders left no written records. The only testimony of their lives comes from the stones, the artifacts, and the patterns they etched into the city's layout. Archaeologists have pieced together a picture of society, a hierarchy with powerful rulers, a thriving economy, and intricate social structures. The city likely housed thousands of people at its peak, with specialized areas for ceremonies, trade, and daily life. The story becomes even more remarkable when we look at the evidence of global connections. Archaeologists have uncovered Chinese porcelain, Persian beads, and Arab coins among the ruins. This suggests that Great Zimbabwe was not isolated, it was at the center of a network of trade that stretched across Africa to Asia. Merchants from distant lands would have walked its streets, bartering goods, exchanging ideas, and marveling at the city's grandeur. Imagine the sounds of a bustling market, the scent of spices, the glitter of gold, and the voices of traders speaking languages from faraway lands. But despite this brilliance, Great Zimbabwe was almost erased from memory. When European explorers arrived in the 19th century, they could not believe that Africans had built such an advanced city. Some claimed it was constructed by outsiders, even suggesting Phoenicians or Arabs, dismissing the Shona people's achievement entirely. This denial was not just ignorance, it was deliberate, a reflection of the prejudice that shaped historical narratives for centuries. Yet the stones remained, speaking louder than any written history. Local legends preserve the memory of the builders. The Shona people passed down stories of ancestors guided by spirits, of rulers who wielded authority with wisdom and strength. Every stone tower, every enclosure, every pathway was more than architecture, it was a symbol of identity, power, and resilience. Today, Great Zimbabwe stands as a testament to human creativity, endurance, and vision. Its walls challenge our understanding of history and force us to reconsider assumptions about civilizations that existed outside Europe. Standing among the ruins, it is impossible not to feel awe, not to imagine the hands that shaped these stones, and not to ask the question, how did such a city, so advanced, so connected, and so beautiful, nearly vanish from memory? Great Zimbabwe is not just a city of stone. It is a city of secrets, whispers, and lessons. Lessons about human ambition, about pride and power, and about the fragility of memory. Its story reminds us that history is not only written in books but etched in the land itself, waiting for those curious enough to listen. So as you picture yourself walking through these towering walls, consider this. What else has humanity created and lost to time? What other civilizations lie hidden, waiting for us to uncover their truths? The stones of Great Zimbabwe may be silent, but their story is louder than ever, calling out to anyone willing to hear. Picture this, a city deep in the African wilderness, walls of stone rising like guardians of wealth, bustling streets filled with merchants, artisans, and traders from distant lands. This was Great Zimbabwe at the height of its power, not just a city of stone, but the heart of an empire whose reach stretched far beyond the horizon. Its influence was so vast that its gold, ivory, and other treasures traveled thousands of miles, connecting Africa to distant lands across the Indian Ocean, linking the heart of southern Africa to Asia. The economy of Great Zimbabwe was the engine that powered its empire. Gold flowed from the surrounding hills, mined by skilled hands and carefully transported to the city's center. Ivory, harvested from elephants roaming the region, became a prized commodity for traders from the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Cattle herding provided sustenance, wealth, and status, while skilled craftsmen produced exquisite jewelry, pottery, and tools. Every element of daily life reflected a society that was both sophisticated and connected. Archaeological evidence paints a vivid picture of this global network. Chinese porcelain shards, Persian glass beads, and Arab coins have all been found within the ruins. These artifacts tell a story of trade routes that bridged continents. Imagine a Persian merchant arriving in Great Zimbabwe, his pack filled with beads and textiles, negotiating with local traders for gold and ivory. Picture Chinese porcelain traveling thousands of miles, broken or chipped, yet leaving traces that speak across centuries. The city was not isolated. It was a thriving hub in a vast network of commerce and culture. But trade was only one aspect of Great Zimbabwe's brilliance. The city itself was a statement of power and authority. The ruling elite used architecture to showcase their control, constructing massive enclosures, conical towers, and intricate passageways that impressed visitors and asserted dominance. The Great Enclosure, with its imposing walls and carefully designed interior, likely served as a center for ceremonial activities, political gatherings, and displays of wealth. Every stone was a message. This is a city of power, organization, and vision. Social structure played a crucial role in maintaining this empire. At the top were kings or rulers, who oversaw trade, controlled resources, and ensured the city's prosperity. Below them were merchants, artisans, and laborers, each contributing to the city's complex economy. Specialists in crafts and construction passed down knowledge through generations, preserving skills that allowed Great Zimbabwe to grow and thrive. Even in the absence of written records, the city's layout and artifacts reveal a society that valued planning, hierarchy, and sustainability. Culturally, Great Zimbabwe was rich and vibrant. Religion and spirituality infused daily life. Ceremonial towers, ritual spaces, and symbolic carvings suggest a people deeply connected to their beliefs, honoring ancestors and spirits. Oral traditions preserve stories of leadership, morality, and the city's origins. These traditions not only guided the community, but also reinforced social cohesion, creating a society capable of managing wealth, power, and long-distance trade. And yet, despite this brilliance, Great Zimbabwe remained hidden from much of the world. European explorers of the 19th century arrived in awe, unable to accept that Africans could create such an advanced city. They dismissed the Shona people's accomplishments, attributing the ruins to outsiders, foreigners, or lost civilizations. But the stones, artifacts, and oral histories told a different story. The Shona were the true architects, traders, and rulers of this empire, and their ingenuity cannot be denied. Great Zimbabwe was not just a city, it was an experience, a thriving network of trade, culture, and human ambition that connected the African continent to the world. So, as we explore the remains of this extraordinary empire, one question emerges. How did a city with such global influence, wealth, and sophistication nearly vanish from memory? The story of Great Zimbabwe challenges us to rethink history, to recognize civilizations that thrived outside the familiar narratives, and to marvel at the ingenuity, vision, and resilience of people who shaped the world long before it was recorded in books. Great Zimbabwe's legacy is not just in the walls or the gold, but in the knowledge that humanity's story is broader, deeper, and more interconnected than we often realize. Imagine discovering a city so magnificent that it rewrites everything you thought you knew about history. Imagine standing before walls taller than most modern buildings, towers built with such precision that engineers today still marvel, and realizing that for centuries, the world refused to believe it existed. This was the story of Great Zimbabwe in the eyes of Europe during the 19th century, a story of denial, distortion, and stolen recognition. By the time European explorers reached southern Africa, Great Zimbabwe had long been abandoned, its stones weathered by centuries. The city was silent, its people gone, but the evidence of their greatness remained. When the first outsiders arrived, they were stunned. They could not imagine that Africans had built such a city. The walls, towers, and enclosures seemed impossible to them. Some suggested Phoenicians, Arabs, or even ancient lost civilizations from distant lands. The Shona people, who had created this architectural marvel, were dismissed entirely. This denial was more than disbelief. It was deliberate. European colonists wanted to justify their exploitation of Africa. If they could claim that Africa had no history of advanced civilizations, they could claim the continent as empty, waiting to be civilized. Great Zimbabwe, in all its grandeur, became inconvenient. Its stones were evidence that contradicted centuries of prejudice and distorted narratives. Scholars and explorers refused to credit the Shona builders, and their voices were largely ignored for decades. But truth has a way of revealing itself. Archaeologists such as Gertrude Getton-Thompson in the 1920s conducted meticulous studies, examining the ruins with scientific rigor. She proved that the city was entirely of African origin, built by the ancestors of the Shona people. Her findings challenged the dominant narrative and exposed the racial prejudice that had clouded historical understanding. Yet even then, the story of Great Zimbabwe remained controversial in European circles. Many refused to accept that Africans had achieved such architectural and social sophistication. The impact of these lies was profound. For decades, textbooks around the world taught false histories. The accomplishments of the Shona civilization were erased from global memory, leaving generations of Africans with a sense of lost heritage. Local legends and oral histories preserved the memory of the builders, but they were often dismissed as myths by outsiders. This erasure was not only a denial of history, but an attack on identity, culture, and pride. Standing among the ruins today, one can almost hear the echoes of resistance. Every stone seems to whisper the truth. The Shona people built this city. They traded across continents, developed complex social structures, and created architectural marvels that rival those of other great civilizations. Their ingenuity survived even when colonial powers tried to erase it. The story of Great Zimbabwe also forces us to reflect on a larger question. How many other civilizations have been hidden or denied because they did not fit the narrative of power and prejudice? How many achievements have been lost or misrepresented in the pages of history simply because they challenge preconceived notions? Despite the shadows of colonial lies, the city's legacy endures. Great Zimbabwe became a symbol of African pride, resilience, and identity. Its recognition helped reshape historical understanding, proving that greatness cannot be confined by prejudice or misinformation. The ruins remind us that history is not merely written in books, but carved into stone, preserved in culture, and remembered by those who refuse to forget. As we walk through these walls, it is impossible not to feel a mixture of awe and indignation. Awe for the genius of the Shona people, and indignation at the centuries of lies that denied them their rightful place in history. Great Zimbabwe challenges us to question accepted narratives, to honor the forgotten, and to understand that true history often lies beneath the surface, waiting for those who seek it with open eyes. The question remains, what does it mean for a civilization's achievements to be denied for centuries? And how does the truth, once rediscovered, change the way we see ourselves and our past? Great Zimbabwe is not just a city of stone. It is a testament to resilience, to pride, and to the enduring power of truth in the face of erasure. As the sun sets over the rolling plains of southern Africa, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe rise like ancient sentinels against the horizon. The shadows stretch across walls that have survived centuries, weathering storms, neglect, and the passage of time. Standing here, it is impossible not to feel the weight of history pressing down. Every stone carries stories of ambition, pride, ingenuity, and resilience. Great Zimbabwe is more than ruins. It is a testament to what humanity can achieve and, just as importantly, what it can almost lose to the pages of forgotten history. The legacy of Great Zimbabwe is multifaceted. Architecturally, it remains unparalleled in sub-Saharan Africa. The Great Enclosure, with its towering walls and mysterious conical tower, showcases an understanding of construction and urban planning that rivals civilizations half a world away. Circular enclosures, ceremonial spaces, and intricately designed passageways speak of a society that valued both beauty and purpose. Every design choice tells a story about the people who lived there, their social hierarchies, their spiritual beliefs, and their ability to turn stone into an enduring symbol of identity and power. But Great Zimbabwe was more than architecture. It was the heart of a thriving culture and economy. Trade routes that connected the city to distant lands brought foreign goods, ideas, and influences, while local craftsmanship flourished. Gold and ivory-shaped relationships fueled ambition and attracted travelers from far and wide. The city was a living, breathing ecosystem of commerce, culture, and human endeavor. It thrived because its people were not only skilled builders and traders, but also visionaries who understood the importance of community, organization, and strategy. Culturally, the city's influence resonates to this day. The Shona people's traditions, art, and stories preserve the memory of a civilization that colonial narratives once sought to erase. Great Zimbabwe became a symbol of African pride, appearing on the modern nation's flag and shaping the identity of a country that reclaimed its history. The city reminds us that heritage is not only in textbooks or museums, but alive in people, stories, and the land itself. Yet, the lessons of Great Zimbabwe go deeper. The city teaches us about human resilience, the ability to create something monumental and meaningful even in isolation. It reminds us that knowledge and skill are not limited by geography or external validation, and it warns us of the fragility of legacy, showing how prejudice and misinformation can nearly erase achievements from collective memory. Today, tourists, historians, and scholars visit the ruins, drawn by curiosity, wonder, and reverence. They walk through the same pathways once traveled by traders, artisans, and rulers, experiencing a connection to a civilization that time almost forgot. The city's walls still whisper secrets, inviting visitors to imagine lives, ambitions, and dreams that span continents. Standing among these stones, one cannot help but ask, what else has been lost to history? What other civilizations, stories, and achievements lie hidden, waiting for rediscovery? Great Zimbabwe challenges us to honor the past, embrace its lessons, and ensure that the brilliance of humanity is never forgotten again. The city is silent yet speaking, weathered yet eternal, and its message is clear. Greatness is not measured solely by survival in written records, but by the enduring impact of creativity, vision, and human spirit. Great Zimbabwe is a legacy carved in stone, a reminder that even when civilizations fade, their lessons, inspiration, and triumphs can echo across centuries, shaping the future for those willing to listen.